together. Let the music guide you.
You are listening to an exclusive review. ASOT, A State of Trance.
Welcome to another 10 Questions with, and this week we have none other than Factor B with us in the studio. How you doing, man?
What's up? Pretty good.
Yeah?
Pretty good, thanks.
For now, you're doing good.
Yeah.
No, okay. So the meaning behind the 10 questions is we're going to ask you, obviously, 10 questions that were submitted by our listeners through Instagram stories.
Sure.
Let's dive in straight away. Sure. Netoon12 wants to know, if you were a chocolate bar, what would you be?
Maybe a Snickers, I reckon. Crunchy and nutty on the top and smooth and wavery down below.
Okay. TMI. Good answer though. Is there any particular candy that you eat a lot of? Maybe something Australian that you calling your friends like, hey, can you send me a box?
Not particularly candy or anything, but being Australian, we love our Vegemite. Have you ever had Vegemite? Do you know what Vegemite is?
The reason why it stays in Australia is because it's disgusting.
Coming from, the Dutch could really benefit from Vegemite. You guys love your cheese and your crackers and your bread. Mm-hmm. Bit of Vegemite, bit of butter on some of the beautiful loaves of bread you guys bake over here. Tell you what, it's unbelievable.
Sounds like a commercial.
Yeah, I know.
Next one.
If Kraft is listening back home, Vegemite, I'm prepared for any
for
offers.
Another box.
Yeah.
Evo Ridley wants to know, as a clubber raver, what was your favorite set you've seen and why? That's a good question.
Wow. I saw a lot of sets growing up. Like, I think people probably know now, after becoming more professional in music probably 5 years ago now. Before that, for probably 10 or more years, I was an avid clubber and
front row.
Festival goer, front row for sure. Oh, man, I've seen so many. I'd have to say, maybe a bit of nostalgia being in here, watching Armin play I think it was a 6, maybe 8 hour set in Melbourne at the, I can't remember the name of the club now, but it closed down. And that was, I was very young. I'd probably only just turned, I was underage. I had a fake ID and I got into the club. And Armin was playing all these cracking old tracks. I remember tracks like Bossa Nova, Stone Cold, and closing with the remix of Rank 1 Airwave, the Chill Out Breaks mix and all that. That was one of my first big experiences into seeing like a really amazing set. Also, he closed Dance Valley. I think it was 2006. And that was amazing. That
you were there?
Blew my mind. Yeah.
At Dance Valley?
Yeah.
Back then you were still living in Australia?
Yeah, but I was living in London from 2006 to 2009. And I was actually doing a bit of music stuff over here. I was running some shows in London. One of the shows I ran, I actually booked Arlian Filler, Alex Morph and Giuseppe Ottaviani. Yeah. And all these years later, when we caught up and all become really good mates, it's like, oh, do you remember that show we did at Heaven in London? It was a cracking show, but yeah, I was living over there then, and so I got to see all these festivals and stuff. So you
were a promoter at first, and then you started DJing? Yeah,
well, I was DJing first in Australia. Then I got put into a promoter position in Australia, because when you're DJing, people are coming to see you. They obviously go make him a promoter.
Yeah.
And then I left and came overseas and sort of continued it on. Because I guess when you're sort of just a DJ, it's difficult to get gigs, especially in sort of thriving environments for music. So you kind of have to put your own shows on to kind of get yourself known and stuff. So yeah, that's where that came from when I moved to London.
Nice. Justin Hawkins wants to know, what is the main thing that drives you, keep you going in creating music? What keeps you going, Brent?
Look, it's a little bit cliche, but like just imagining the moments when you get to share the music with the audience and what sort of environment it's in. Like, you always have some kind of imaginative like vision of what's going to happen when you drop this new track that you've done for the first time.
But that's not going to happen in the near future.
I know. But so we're talking about right now, like what I'm doing to,
I guess that's
driving me right now would be, it's still a portion is that. It's still just thinking, geez, when the time comes and I'm able to play all this music, like, it's like a kid in a candy shop. I'm like, I can't wait to blow people's heads off with this stuff. So that's what drives me to keep creating the music, is that sort of, vision. But outside of that, it's pretty much just whiskey and
Snickers,
and Netflix. Yeah.
And Nadine, she's from New York. She wants to know, your tracks have some of the most beautiful melodies. Where did you get them from, and where does your inspiration come from?
Thank you, Nadine. Very nice of you to say. I just rip them off other people's tracks. You know, I just work them out.
There's
and then I
beautiful
just
MIDI
change
packs
them
right
around. That's a good question. I don't know. It just, for me, honestly, it's just a lot of just stuffing around with, like, I'll take a simple idea and I'll try to put more notes in and try to spread it out. And a lot of my tracks take, or my melodies take a little bit of while to sort of flesh out because
because you see a lot of, like in especially in dance music, you have a lot of 4 or 8 bar melodies, but you go to 32, 64.
Yeah, and that's something I've really tried to make a bit of a name for myself with, is just not having these like shorter melodies. I like to have them move around a little bit more. I think it creates more, I don't know, more of a journey and stuff, as Ahmed would call it. It's more like journey trance type stuff. So it takes a bit of playing around. The inspiration just comes from finding, I mean, you know this, that moment where you just find the perfect key change. Yeah. Or that note or that little thing at the end of, like, the little inflection at the end of the 8th bar or the 16th or something, and you just go,
yes,
like,
that's it.
Yes, bloody get the whiskey out, get the Vegemite out. We're it's a lock-in tonight. So, yeah.
I had that with the first track that you played in the guest mix in the State of Trance. I had goosebumps, man.
Yeah.
Really goosebumps.
Thanks.
Amazing job. Next question. Arthur Gigon wants to know, any collabs in the works? Because you did a lot of really big collabs this year. So what are you working on?
Yeah, I've been very spoilt with the collabs that I've done. All the guys I've done collabs with have been, like, really well received and been really successful.
You did Giuseppe, you did Craig, Thrill Seekers.
The Thrill Seekers.
Yeah.
I did one of my favorite ones with Lostly. I did one a while ago on Future Sound of Egypt with the Noble Six, which was one of my favorites as well. I'm a bit picky with who I do them with, because I don't want a collab to just be, it's like, oh, that would be cool to see kind of thing. I want it to be like, musically there needs to be something that's interesting enough for it to be worth collaborating for. So there are actually a couple of people that you wouldn't expect me to be collaborating with on the table at the moment. We haven't started anything. Well, I can't say, but you still haven't responded to my emails either. Really.
Oh, yeah. Well, to be honest, and we just jump in the next question as well. Glenn McMaster, Glenn MC Mcaster 4. Glenn MC Mcaster 1. Yeah, that's it. He wants to know what inspired you to do the Highlander concept. Because that's something that we would be able to work on as well together. For
sure. Look, the Highlander concept is, if you're into trance and you know you're trance and you've been listening to trance for as long as I have, you understand that progressive plays a huge part in the journey of a club night and the journey of trance, and also just there's some incredible progressive stuff that's
storytelling. That's what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. So Highlander for me is just another outlet for me to take all of the things I love about trance, but just slow them right down and build more groove-based elements into them. So, and then on top of that, one of the main concepts behind Highlander is, because I'm doing my Theatre of the Mind open to close shows, I want to have music from the start till the end that's mine. So I don't want it to just be, 6-hour set or 7-hour set. In the first 3 hours, I'm playing everyone else's music, and then it gets to the point where I can start to play uplift.
You're like, finally I can play my own stuff.
Yeah, and then it's just a Factor B onslaught for 3 hours and everyone falls asleep. I want to have music that is my own right from the start, because it keeps it interesting, and also it gives me a reason to want to keep learning new production techniques and learning new ways of producing music, which is why we do it in the first place. So, yeah, that's why I've always had a massive love for it. But I also now I'm lucky enough to have the implementation of it being my shows. I can now make music to play as opposed to just be fun. So yeah, it's a huge inspiration for me.
Did you feel that you had to start on zero when you started making more progressive stuff as well?
No.
Because it's a different kind of music to produce. It's different percussion, different kick drums, different bass lines.
Absolutely. But I also feel like what I love about it is, if you just go and make what's already been made, then you're just going to be another artist, like trying to produce that stuff. So for me, I've sort of come into it with a bit of a block all the other elements out and just sort of make what I feel sounds cool. And yeah, admittedly, for the first few, you sort of fall into that more trance-based kicks and that sort of stuff. And you play them out live and you hear that they don't quite have that more subtle sort of, warm rumble feel that you want. So you learn. And I reckon I've been doing it for probably a year and a half now. And only recently did I sort of feel like I was at a point where I wanted to release a few of these tracks and get the wheels turning on it. So yeah, I mean, I honestly love it, and I'm learning so much, and it's getting me out of just, producing the same stuff over and over.
Nice. I already know the answer to this question because you played one of them on the show this week. Prem Buta wants to know any new vocal trance tracks coming up.
Yes, I have some remixes of some great vocal trance tracks coming up. One from Craig Connolly, but also I will not. Well, we're still an ID, but it is just.
Is that the one that you played on the show this week?
It is, yeah.
Can you share the singer of that one already?
We've sort of decided to keep it a little bit of a secret, but
come on, you can do it.
I'll hold on because I want to make a big fuss out of it because honestly, I don't know what's happened over the last year or so. I have been so incredibly lucky to have received some of the vocals that I have. And this one just blew my socks off. I mean, I'd written an instrumental and I sent it over to her. We became good mates.
And you don't know what you're going to get back.
You don't know what you're going to get back. No. And also, when it came back, I was just like, holy shit, like this is like, we made a few changes here and there, but even playing it now, like I still get goosebumps hearing it. And, it might sound a little bit full of yourself that you say that, but it's the vocal, because the vocal's not mine. I've just used it and I really attached to the vocal. And anyway, that's come along well. And you put me in touch with a lovely Dutch lady who has sung something very special for another track of mine, which I'm still working on as well.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, next one, actually, GSJ Fernandez wants to know, and I would like to know this as well, is there going to be a follow-up of Crashing Over?
Yes.
Is that still the most special track in your sets when you play sets? That's the track that people would get angry at you if you wouldn't play it, right?
Yeah, look, I think that track in particular was probably... I've had a lot of tracks that have been very successful for me before that, but that was the one that just sort of transcended the others because it was the first sort of bigger... I mean, there was a track before called White Rooms that I did with Kat, and that was my first actual vocal, original vocal, and that was really successful for us, and that was great. And then we did Crashing Over, and that was even better. But it's a tricky one because, like, you know what it's like.
How are you going to top those?
Exactly. Yeah. And then you start putting this expectation on music, and as soon as you put an expectation, I feel like the whole creative process changes.
Maybe,
for me.
What if you ask her to do one of the tunes for Highlander?
Well, we've already done that. Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah, you're very smart. Yes. There is also one that I have from her that it's already a track, but I'm not. I was telling you earlier, I have so much music. Like, just I can't wait to play out. And if I had another hour here, I would just I'd just play it all. Yeah. But you've got to keep a little bit of this stuff back so you can debut it in the right scenarios. Because as much as we love doing these streams and all this sort of stuff, you don't connect to music the way you do when you're at a dance floor, in a club, at a festival. I feel that's where people really connect with it the most. So I'm saving some for that.
That makes sense. M The Odd wants to know, who would you like to collab with for a new track?
Would I like to? I said this last time I was on the show. If Eric Prids is listening, I am still available. Look, there's some really cool artists out there that, for instance, guys like, off the top of my head, Stoneface and Terminal. Guys that have been around for a long time, who I found out were responsible for actually making a lot of music for other people that I loved, and then found out it was them, which made me love them even more.
Yeah.
Guys like that, guys that have been around for a while. I love their
Gundamia stuff.
Exactly,
so good.
So even like a Highlander of Gundamia type thing, I mean, off the top of my head, I don't think there's one person. I've been very, very fortunate to have collabed with the people that I have, and then come together the way they have as well. So, yeah, there's people out there, but like no one,
So the only one you're saying right now is Eric Pritz, and that's Gundamia or Stoneface and Terminal.
Potentially, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess one out of those two is very possible to do, right?
Yeah, sorry, Gundamia. I'm sorry.
All right, we're already at the last one. Pure AWSM Dan. Do you miss Straya?
Oh, how could you not?
Very true.
Vegemite, You know, no. I mean, I do miss a lot of elements of Australia. But when I moved over here, I knew what I was moving over here for. And I'm committed to the music life, and I absolutely love Amsterdam. And I've been fortunate enough to go back for a couple of tours each year to Australia, so I get to see everyone. Unfortunately, again, for them at the moment, family and all that in Melbourne, they're back on lockdown. So, you know, hope everyone's, you know, surviving okay over there. I do miss the footy, the Australian rules football.
Really?
Go the Bombers. I watch it all the time.
I have to admit, I have been watching it, like, because when you go to Australia, you're jet lagged. So you in the middle of the night, you'll be watching TV. You're like, okay, what am I going to watch? You put on the TV, you're like, what is this?
Yes, mate, I'm telling you.
I don't understand the rules.
AFL,
like,
well, during lockdown, AFL still ran for a couple of weeks in Australia with no crowds and stuff, while all the American football and the Canadian stuff was all shut down. So everyone, it's taken off in Canada now because it was like the only sport that was on. So all these Canadians have like got right behind AFL now, and they're trying to work out how the hell these like blokes all run into each other at excessive speeds and smash into each other chasing
7 feet tall,
an egg-shaped ball and all this stuff. The Dutch should be great at footy.
Yeah.
I actually play for the Dutch team here called the Amsterdam Devils.
There's 2 members.
No, we actually won the European Cup last year. So we beat all the other countries around. So big shout out to all the Devils listening out there. But yeah, there's a full Australian Rules Netherlands League, and it's serious.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
so we're looking for a ruckman, actually. That's the tall guy. So if you're not doing anything...
Okay, I'll be jumping in. You just have to explain me the rules, though.
Nah, just tap the ball around. I'm sure you'll be fine.
Well, Brandon, thank you so much. You survived everything. No weird things happened, so just be happy and be proud of yourself.
Thanks.
That's it. This 10 questions, it's over. Next time we're going to have Orchidea here. He's going to fly into the studio to do a guest mix on the radio show next week and be here in the chair where Brandon is sitting right now. So if you have any questions for Orchidea, write them down in the comments here and we'll ask him. And that's it. See you next time. Bye-bye.